The Highway Life, based on a true story.
Coming along?
Mom said not to be taking a ride from no strangers.
This is the bus to the Highway Life.
I'm Bolo. Bolo Big.
I'm Joey Smalls. It's about to go down.
Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Bolo Biggs. It's Saturday. I think it's November 3rd, early morning. It's kind of nippy out here. So I came in early. I'm gonna do some quick measurements, gather some data. After we installed my tail lights, I had the wires out because I was rewiring into the PVC electrical tubes. That way I can get out of here and go pick up some wood. I think I should explain the hard part of the entire build is complete. Restoration, framing, weatherproofing, sealing, with all that. I think I mentioned that, but installation. The hard part is complete. Like I was discussing with a couple of my viewers, it was important to me to detail the hard stuff, and what I feel folks should concentrate on. And there's no offense to anybody that does videos that just do walkthroughs. I love this lifestyle. I love being on the highway. I love living on the highway. I love going places. I love being outdoors. I love chasing sunsets. That's my whole goal in life is to end my day better than how it started. And I love watching sunsets. It's like a reset button. I want to do my part to help those make the leap. I want to do my part to share what I know, what I've researched, so that others can make that jump. Others that are afraid or a little timid to go out and just buy something and build. Yeah, so I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me along this way. It should be fun from here. It was fun for me to begin with. I appreciate you. Yeah, that's all I got. Let's do this shit. When I do my measurements, I mean, you could write it down, but all I do is just put my ruler or my tape down on areas I need to measure and keep track of, and then I just take a picture of it. So I have a place to reference. If you want to write a note for yourself so that it's included into your picture, that's good. Or you could just add it on later. So key areas that I want to do is where this notch is, coming from the back, from the side of the wall, where my next stud is, from left to right, up and down. I want measurements off the wheel well. Just pretty much measurements anywhere that I think will be important, where my screws need to hit. But just a point of reference more than anything. And I'll be doing the same for the wall when I'm ready to do that. But yeah, take lots of pictures and videos, guys, in case you have to reference it back to it. So like I said, for this one, I'm gonna have the measurement and the placement, and then I'll come off the wall. Now keep in mind, you will have to add either your 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch of the floor when you do measure the height of the walls. So this here, from wall to my stud, is 48 inches, which if you guys actually see, I did my line well ahead of time because I needed to know where to put this one strip of framing. So when I put my board down, it's 48 inches, so I'm gonna be sharing 1/2 and 1/2 of this 2x4. I forgot to show you guys. So this here is actually pretty simple to do. Each part of the build along the way, I just use Excel, Word, I guess it's Word Perfect, Excel, whatever it's called. I make the columns and the rows smaller, and then I just use the features on there to create this. Very simple to do. I'll add this to my portfolio but all the data I take from my pictures, I'm just gonna write little notes on here for something I can reference back to. You guys don't need to do it, you can do it by hand. I got a shaky hand, I'm not great at drawing, so I just use what resources I have. I got all my plywood, guys. This here is 3 1/4. This here is 1 1/4. So the 1 1/4 will go on the side for my walls. The 3 1/4 will go for the subfloor. I'm sitting in the bus because I'm tired as hell. Get the bus loaded. I went with 3/4 tongue and groove plywood. They didn't have anything else that was tongue and groove. I always debated going back and forth on the 1/2 inch versus the 3/4 inch. But today I had no choice. That's what they had. I didn't feel like driving across country to go get 1/2 inch tongue and groove. One other thing, while I was loading the bus, skoolie, I always break necks whenever I take the school bus out. People just snap their necks to look, to stare. I don't know if it's because I'm driving, smoking while I'm driving the school bus, but I get a lot of good looks. Every now and then I get that what the fuck look. But so these couples were driving by, and he slowed down, peeked his side, gave me the thumbs up. Him and his wife were smiling like happy as can be. He mentioned that he built a Dodge Ram back in the day, and he and his wife went across country. So I thought that was really cool, man. And like, people can appreciate the work that I'm putting into, and just the idea and the concept of what I'm doing. Again, I don't always get that look, but for the most part, people are always intrigued. They want to look inside. It's a good feeling. Pretty cool. Alright guys, so I'm back from Home Depot. Went ahead, after deciding back and forth for a while with talking to Marcus and George, Squirrel from YouTube even chimed in to help me out. So I decided to go with plywood versus OSB. Really, the only swing factor was moisture, and I was worried about possibly the wood getting wet at some point, or moisture at some point. In my opinion, in my experience, OSB doesn't hold up very well. It swells quite a bit and it breaks down. Plywood, not as much. Now, plywood will warp on you under harsh condition, climate-wise. But I feel like one of the deciding factors is I insulated and sealed and weatherproofed the bus so much that I'm not worried about that. It is a little bit heavier, but I'm not worried about weight. Again, my bus can go up to 14,000 gross vehicle weight. I think I started at 78, 74 after everything was said and taken out. Not gonna go any near, even close to maybe 10,000, not even close. So I'm not worried about that. It is a little bit more expensive, but it's something I'm used to working with. I used it on the conversion van, worked out well. It's easy to cut. But yeah, enough of that discussion. So I am going to fasten it down with a number 10 screws. I believe I'm going with 2 inches. I got 1.5 for my for my framing, 3/4. So it should work out well. I will be using using liquid nail, the kind they use for subflooring, for 2 reasons. One, to help with a little bit of the seal, and more so to help with any potential squeaking that might arise. I'm not worried about the vapor barrier because the spray foam insulation addresses all that for air leaks and such. My walls, I went with 1 1/4 plywood because I'll also be using a bead board, you know, the kind you see in the kids' rooms. You know, you'll see it later. So 1/4 and 1/4, I'll get a half out of that. The insulation on is, I think, almost 3 inches thick on the spray foam, so I'm not too worried about that. I'll be using the number 8 screw. The tools I'll be working with will be a circular saw, my T-square, my ruler, and this here I showed you guys previously. This will help me with a straight, clean cut. What you do is fasten it down on both sides of the board. As long as you measure your circular saw distance correctly, you'll get a perfect line. For my first measurement, my first cut, my first laying down of the board, I have to be against my driver wall and my rear wall, coming out 48 inches wide. I will have to figure out my run. I can't go the full 8 feet because from here to there it's about seven and a half foot, so I have to cut a piece of that off. Now I have to factor in, when I touch this wall, I have to factor in this 3 inches or so, which I would need to measure and cut. First thing first, I'm gonna go 48 inches off the wall all the way down. Typically you're gonna mark it on one side and then do the other side, and then use a chalk string which will snap in place to give you that one straight line. Then everything will should be 48 inches coming off the wall. I don't have my chalk string, and I don't feel like running back, so all I'm gonna do is measure each of my 2x6s out 48 inches just to give it a mark. My next measurement will be coming off the wall to the opening of the door, because I have to allot for this this little section here that sticks beyond the wall. So actually it looks like my previous marking was 27 1/4. I just want to double check that. I'm at 27, but I think I'm off a little bit. No, it's still 27 1/4. So, but I'm gonna give it just a tiny bit extra to compensate for the saw blade. And my next measurement will be from the back wall, as you can see, which is flush, from here to cover this section here. And I am at just over 2 inches. Let me get my tape measure to get a precise measurement, but I'm looking at about 2 inches. Now I've transferred the first board out to the ground. I've laid it on the ground with 2x4s underneath, 2 boards high, so when I cut with my circular saw, I don't hit the ground. I've transferred the first piece of plywood onto the ground, the way it would be facing in the bus. That way I know I got the good cut. All I've done is place it on top of 2x4s, 2 levels, because once I use my circular saw to cut this, I don't want to be hitting the ground. This side is the groove side, as you can see, and this side is the tongue side. Now the way I placed it, I want my tongue side facing the next piece that is going to connect to it. That way I have my tongue side down first. You want to place your tongue side on the floor versus the groove side to connect. The reason being is, if your tongue's already in place, your groove side, once connected, is not likely to snap your tongue. If you had your groove side down first and then try to connect the next piece with the tongue, you're more likely to snap the tongue or damage the tongue part, if that makes any sense. All I'm gonna do is transfer my measurements that I took, and I'm gonna put it on this board, use my T-square so that everything is squared, do my markings where I need to cut. For my first cut, it's gonna be from that wall to that door opening. So basically the wall to the door opening, I'm at 47 1/4. I marked it there, but I've also marked it on the actual board. Reason being is, I want to show you guys. So this board should come from the factory squared, meaning the outside will always be squared. That's not the case with your 2x4s and such, because there's warping, and it's not always straight. But your boards should be squared. You can always double check it, but let me show you. 47 1/4 here and 47 1/4 here. My T-square is always squared. If I place it directly onto the side of the board, which should come from the factory squared, this marking should line up to that. You see there, that my little marking, I scoot it over. As long as I'm flush, as long as I'm flush, this will be squared with this. See my little mark in there on the side? Perfectly squared. So this would be my first line. I've drawn my first line. I'm gonna cut this away. And this piece here will stick out to where the door is. Next measurement will be the piece that sticks out. And I have to cut this. So if you guys remember, it was about 2 inches. So I'm gonna go 2 inches in. And then 2 inches in from that side and draw my line for the cut. This piece here is gonna be cut away. So you know how I always double check myself. Do the first cut for the door. I have my tool down, which helps me guide my circular saw so that it cuts straight. I'm not really good with circular saw, even though it's supposed to do its own thing. So you have to compensate for the depth of your blade to the side of your circular saw. If you actually see here, there's a notch here. It allows you to place it flush so that you know what your measurement is. So my blade from the blade to the side here is 1 3/8, and if you actually notice, we wrote it on there so that my blade hits that line. I need to move this tool, this clamp, this cutting edge guide 1 3/8. I fasten this down, so then when I ride along it, the blade will hit exactly on that line, and it'll, because I'm pressed to the side, it'll keep me straight. One of the awesome things about using this clamp, you can actually start your cut in the middle of the board versus from the sides. So if I wanted to, all I do is put my my circular saw on that rail, and I start it, and then I just drop it down, riding it, which is what I'm gonna do on this cut. I rode down along the rail, and my line has disappeared. I'm at the corner. I don't want to use the circular saw to finish that off because I don't want to go past my lines, my markings. So I'm just using my jigsaw. And I'm just hitting the corner from corner to corner. A little hard to video here. And I did that because I want that clean corner. This was the incorrect line, guys, so don't pay attention to that. Yeah, that's a nice clean cut. My next measurement will be from the wall to the wheel well. My next measurement will be from my rear wall to the back side of this wheel well. I've drawn a line here because I don't want it to touch the wheel well. I want to leave just about maybe 1/4 inch, just for flexing purposes. 56 3/8. 56 3/8. Go right to the edge. I wish I had my pencil, I can't find it. So this is where my wheel well is. This can be cut away. Now I need to measure how wide my wheel well is from the past driver wall towards the middle. So pushing it right onto the edge, right to my 2x4. I am gonna call it 18 5/8. Okay, 18 5/8. All right, I'm on my line, 18 5/8. There's my marking. For my wheel well, this is my cut, and that's my cut. Now you got, if you're wondering why I'm going beyond the stretch of the
wheel well. The board itself is 8 foot. I only need 7.5. I have to cut this section out anyways, about 6 to 7 inches out. So I really don't care. I just want a nice clean cut. Here's the piece for the wheel well. So if you look at it from this angle, this is how it's gonna look from the back of the bus. Touches the rear wall, comes out the door, wheel well. The reason why I have to cut a foot off of there is because 8 feet of board lands about here. I needed to land on half of this 2x6. So I gotta cut about a foot off. Now, when I do my next connecting piece, I have to compensate for that piece that I'm cutting off.
Alright, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. You're like, Biggs, why is it dark already? I ain't gonna lie. I stopped by my mom's house for some food and I fell asleep because I had food coma. I'm gonna place this, show you guys, and we'll pick up tomorrow.
I just want to place it, make sure I have it cut properly. It should be. Shit, I checked it like 30 times. It should just fit right in like a glove. But we'll see.
Ah, shit!
Come on, man. Mother trucker. It sucks working by yourself, but it is what it is. Clear that shit. There it is. There it is. Come on, baby. Like a glove. Look at that shit, y'all. Look at that shit. I gotta straighten that up. But yeah, bro. Got my first piece down, son. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Got about 16th there, 16th back there. So once I kick it, which I'm not gonna do because I don't want to mess up the tongue, it'll be flush. And that's what I was looking for. Once I put my framing down, it's gonna cover all that anyway. I probably could have cut it a little bit longer than that. All right, so once I pushed everything over, it actually cleaned it up. So I am touch there, touch there, touch there. Yeah, damn! I'm happy. See what I'm talking about here, guys? So I need to divide that 2x6 for the next sheet over. So I'm gonna have to find out where that middle is and just cut straight across. Now my next piece, I'm gonna have to compensate for that extra 6 inches. But I'm ecstatic. Man, that was a long time coming. Damn, I still gotta fix that.
No bullshit. So like I said earlier, I'm gonna be putting out more videos each step of the way. I'm very detailed as far as pointing out things, only because like I said, some folks need that help. Some folks appreciate it. So we'll pick up tomorrow where I left off. I'm gonna clean up, get the stuff inside just in case it rains. I'll see y'all in the morning. Biggs out. Bro, I'm not saying I know how to cut. I'm just saying that shit is flush. Your boy can cut. Look at that measurement. Ah! First piece is in. Well, first piece is cut. I'll fasten it down later, but damn! Ah, I'm so excited. Oh, and thanks for watching.